1. When I am out of the warehouse, and when I am out of the office, and when I am out of the gallery, then there will be no place for a tub, and no place for a shower hookup. And, when there is no place for cooking, then I will not put a microwave there, nor a refrigerator. What I know is big. And, when there will be no time for what comes next, then I will not be here for 1 month more, and before that, nothing will have happened, neither will the mansion have happened, nor the limousine. And I will write no music. And when it is time to stop me from walking, there will be no use for any modular depths, and I will give up investigating them so as to hide the AC units, and hide the plumbing, and hide the electrical fixtures, and hide the cabinets, and hide the ledges, and tables, and computers, and furniture, and beds, and storage, and insulation, and hide the balconies, and railings, and flower pots, and rooms' reflections, and notations, and then all things will be hidden for good. When the architecture is made basic in construction by me, then it will disappear. The blankness will be in its functionality when it has no more elements anymore in and of what was its architecture. 2. When we emerge from out of our dark prisons, then we will try to hurry ourselves awake, and time will then speed us up. And, when everything seems lost, something will be found, and I will then look to others for answers, and when they become louder, their noise will not repeat my questions I had, for when our energy is invigorated, we will become ourselves awake. And, when I have another vision of the day, and when in that vision there are no streets, then there will be no moisture from the rain, and the cars will appear from out of nowhere, and, when every alphabet is organized, then all things will be revealed in green and red neon lights. And when I love the familiar places around me, then my body will visit them again and again. And I will have a solid stare at the solid air, and then I will put off the crown today when all is impoverished. And, when things are never here, then I will take my sweet time to undo all of the combinations I can. And when I ignore and forget poetry, then I will be colorless, and my visions will not be of the rolling hills. And, when I sleep in the night by you, then change itself will end. And, when I give up writing research papers, then those documents done by Jack's mathematical doctor friend will be with the third level forgotten, and the random order will be difficult to follow because creativity and its strangeness will be crushed. And, when change is random, then so will be my potential forgetfulness. And, when I leave, then I will not be in the bathroom. I will put out cat food when I know where to go next for sure. I made up no songs, and drove no trucks. I neither think of pigs nor of dinosaurs. When I run out of gas, I will be in good time to see no waters. And, when no water is left in this world, then I will leave, and I will ask others not to consider any possibility that I am who they think I am. 3. When none of it is done by research, then I will never have been a monkey. And, when I control myself, as I really like having circles around me, then I will have to leave them be. For I find out where I can get $2,400 when I am black and blue, and then I will not wish to stay, but, I will stay because my ticket is lost, and I am frowning. The day is done and I am wandering a desert when I have opened myself up to all around me. And, when I wish to stay, and when I am safe, then I become scared. And, when I know it is not money, but when all around me will miss me, then I will get my hands even dirtier because they are calloused as anything. And, I will be discovered and come back, and come to, and come by, even when I am not hungry for food. For I know where I am. And, when this is my distraction of a train of every idea coming at me in random, then I will not think of John Locke, nor of duration. But, I have a sensation of being distracted by the appearances of certain irregular periods at different distances, and they are the ideas of uncertain lengths and measurements of space. And, when I do not repeat this to my mind, when I do not imagine such a space, then I will be surprised when tomorrow comes and what it will be like. And, I am disposing of an idea that eternity is something I can handle when I consider that idea of space in particular. 4. This is not society, and this is not my portfolio, and these are not my pictures, and those are not my flags and scrolls, and these are not my texts and matches. When I am blinded to the notebooks compiled, then they become complete volumes, and my Lego drawings cease to be structures that can be given titles, the diagrams vanish. When the film is botched, then I will know that I am not in San Antonio, and there will be no list of potential sponsors. And, when I toss away my budget because I have no ideas, then the flags, banners and pendants will lose their detail, and it will be time for the structure to be reverse engineered. And, I am not in the state, and things do not add up when I lose the computer programming sponsorship, and my name William Godfrey McBride III will be erased. When things only go in one way, then everything belongs to that field, distinctions blur, and nothing is reflected by any meaningful connection since that too has broken away and died. The columns do not appear as massive when other objects look bad around them. And, when the causes of technology, of architecture, of geometry have gone in only one way, then those sections will not show outlines, and Habermas, and Derrida, and Rorty, and Bataille will all leave their schools. And, when my biography is democratic, then I will have no culture, and nothing will go to waste since all that is pragmatic of commerce, of homogeneity will not become an erotic critique of taboos and of particular economics. When they forget to introduce me, then Foucault will partake in making an important distinction between the types of powers, and when he too forgets to attribute general, all-inclusive conditions, then they will lose the ability to be characterized, and Heidegger, Derrida, Jewish mysticism will seem ignored. For transcendence does not happen in two ways, not going beyond culture and norms, not going beyond time and fixed ideas, not going beyond history. And, when moderation of standards, paradigms, self-referential reasons, ontology are overlooked because of glaring superstandards, then historical accounts of the forces of destruction of words will obscure understanding after constructing them happens for the sake of work and work alone. When a history is not made up of us, then the words will have no etymologies. 5. When I say farewell, then I will let go of the request for that grant application from the Foundation for Information concerning the most recent eternities for submitting grant applications. When I am ungrateful, then patterns will flow into different groups, and I will know all. When I awake, the self will be healthier, and nothing will be possible outside it. And, when schemata become unnecessary, then these similarities and differences will exist beyond history. When X and Y relate, then these feelings will not be put into words anymore, and the past will be considered a thought experiment. And, when I am included in X, then my inactivity and my idleness will be the same thing as undistinguishable from each other, and I will not be able to explain the specific by the general. And, when the continuum happens all at once, then my duration will not be organized. And, when there are no more metaphors, then I will not write my Symphony 1, nor its last movement, and I will put all of the notes on the bottom bar. And, when I keep all in the same position, then I will get out my best china to celebrate my life just like that. And, when I am making time by forming outside an uncommon time span, then every triad will not be repeated. There is no symmetry when I hang up on the art dealers at the galleries, and when I cannot meet with them nor have pictures taken of me. And, when I become a for-profit artist, then I will not be called William McBride, and I will have the answers at the exhibition. And, when I wonder what the end result is, then I will lose my grants for the Texan trails. And, when the movement becomes solid, then balance will become less important. And, when I am rejected, and when I visualize the togetherness and the imbalances of hundreds of things, then the solidity will minimize into a particle, and it will neither have thinness nor any width. 6. Before the veneer is completed, and when I remember the symphony for now, the public will have its aesthetic appreciation. There is no mass, but stereotomy is massive, and this composition will have no architecture. I will keep silent about the publication and the exhibition. And when I am influenced by the Bauhaus school to have my public style carved away by the calmness of a relationship, then there will be no magic in the column, there will be no weight to a lintel. And, when that flowing moment depends on the shapes that are outside of its mass, then the timing of the sculptural architecture will put off balance the reflection of the spirit, and then a very old architecture will cease creating effects that pinch, lift, pull, shape and squeeze. And, when the water is frozen, I will not drink it sometime during the day. And, when the clouds are patient and still, then I will see the earth stop its motion, and the peaceful wind will float over rooftops. And when I interview the architect, then I will ask why did you become one, and I will wonder over the answer. And, when I ask if maturity is a good thing, then I will wonder at the answer. And, when I ask if the songbirds are disliked, then I will wonder over the answer. And, when the leaves are coming back in the glory of the spring, I will not ask about the squirrels, and then I will not wonder over the answer. And, when I ask why are we here, then I will be direct, and wonder why we are so talkative. And, when I have the answers, then the leaves will change color, and I will conclude and become silent. The commentary of the architect will happen when we meet, and I will say hello, yes, and my name will be spoken. 7. If it is impossible, miracles will be unrelated, the dew will sit on the roses, and the way will not happen because of some look of a personal kind. The order has an order to it, and the lights stay on, colors are left behind. The second chance is given, and the healthy boredom comes. When there are no more potato chips, when the people are at peace, when the spider is ahead of itself, then these words will be as light as air. And, when the solid bricks, and the unclear windows, and the pleasant beauty outside move slowly with the page, then science will implode upon itself, and there will not be room to escape the knowledge of the wind. And, where there is love satisfied, the symbols will exist for a man or woman, their answers will have meaning, but they will not have power to dare. When the books contain no rules to conform to all at once, the games will be of touch, and the blunt touch will be known by approving people at peace with their blocked identities. And, when the insects thrive, and the point becomes one to drag onward through 100 tunnels, the soft hands will shake each other, and people will settle and prosper in their silky clothes searching for nothing more than a way to stick together on this globe forgiven by benevolent others. The painted rooms reflect the weakness of daylight, and the energy of nature is of the freedom to be naked. The first object that is seen is a discovery to eyes about the way it was and the ways not to take it. And, when the adults are instructed to say polite sayings, and little is admired of their etiquette, then the knots are untied in only one way, and while some knots will end up untied, the education is a serious one where people are educated kindly not to sing songs anymore. The rest is so very exciting, and the fire is standing without shape in its fire, and we let it all go on in our little domestic state where we hear it all as a song now begins. I cannot see the moment that can change the world. When my thoughts cannot be edited anymore, my memories begin to communicate to me what to write. And, when I return clothed but without having any purpose to be clothed, then I will place somewhere on the earth upon some dead-end road my colors brightening staying steady in the light of the sun, and the cars will vanish with the sun, and the hum of the fields will become quiet. 8. Where will I go with my legs when I would go anywhere with them? When I must awake and awake best until all rest moves satisfactorily away, then I might just plan on living. When my time is crucial, then my pleasures are clothed in my nudity, and I have to be private. When I understand the law, then it must be that nudity is the not wearing of clothes, and all things wear something, no? So what will I put on when I am outside when I am at some boring angle, and when I gain even more in the simplicity of my poem? And, when the concepts themselves are older, then they will fade into a powerlessness. And, when Kant becomes less real, and when all things are clarified by the poem, then I will not be aware of the end of comprehension. I will not be as formal and traditional in my reasoning, and the truth of dissolving the problems will perfect nothing. There will be no dialectic of reason, nor of a rational way because the path will be lost in the meanings. When the Weltgeist has no absolute knowledge left, then my experiment will triumph. And, it will be okay to bring in the treble at last, and it will speed up the rain which is falling. And, when the awesomeness leaps nicely into something else, then the major goodness will be visualized in the lower parts. And, it will be okay that for all of these things which happen between the continuum, an advanced newness will be remembered, and then Eric Satie's music can be turned off. And, when it speeds up in a major jump from C to E flat, then I will make use of a triple rest with one more to follow. 9. I will go forward with the measure taking it away from the original. By doing so it will not be superfluous, and it will go, E, A, D, G. And, when without this, I will cease doing the same thing, it will dwindle for a moment and then stop. And, when I delete the note C on a G, and discard it between D and A, then it will trail behind on an ascent never to return to the major into which it cannot jump. And, if the sound becomes wrong, then I will go slower, and play it only once, I will slow down in the softening and join it to the end of my ascent. It will not be a Wagnerian motif, and I will not think about Nabokov either. And, when I discard these different pieces, I will order them in the same way, and I will construct the foundation by building around time a mold. There will be no rocks, and no mass, as each moment in the garden is special. Those moments from the final music will not reflect any bad times. And, when the warmth of the sun reaches my legs, I shall turn it all on, and the light upon the trees and branches will collect beside the motionless grass. And, when I avoid the films of a monomotion, films of playing a final music will relate to my spirit when finalizing the music, because these are the older ways of learning. I will make music by commissions, and there will be constructed a home too. And, I will give away the keys to my public, and they will be socialized and sophisticated, and there will be no biggest problem with that, because I will not want to walk through it. And, when the horizontal proportions make patterns again, then a freedom will be made by the rules of the form. And, when I do not conceptualize a cookie-cutter cast, then I will connect the concepts of the whole form, which is limited by the stereotomic method. And, when I take it all apart, then I will have no more model to work on. 10. When the straight frames are forgotten, then a few leaves will be destroyed in wonderful scatterings of shapes, and I will not be looking between them, but at the earth's surface I will look. I will end with one model, and it will be a good thing that you will not be bothered by it. And, when it is a good thing that you are calmed by it, then for a problem to be created will you ask, and the pleasantness will be hid. And, from this conflict of ideas, and from the avoidance of the predictable model, nothing will happen, feelings will die away for the forms, and those old models will become realized, and they will pull towards the edge, and silence will ensue. The old model will become real, and I will glance at the massive one right side up to translate the interruption which swings down in a triad through the keys on the piano. And, when they wonder about that, then I will rise up. When millimeters are added to the serious shortness, then nothing will seem what it is, and either you will be where you are, or I will have to say otherwise. And, when friendship becomes tragic, then it will have just begun, and, the dancing will be wiser, and the purpose will be to cease the dance. When I conceal my nakedness, then I will not sport in my shoes, and the maturity I have will be hidden from all under the rainy sky. And, when what is mine, I will remember the fifth, and the sun will drop in the working night, and some meaning will just then live. When I remember you, then I will add to my voice some love, and my spirits will remain present. And, when the elegance comes today, then the people will be thrust into the future, and the future will continue from the present. 11. The excuses are crazy, they are picked up, but why? When such insight takes one down, then thought itself is answered by the intelligent answerer. The intelligent answers deserve my questions, and the truth of reality becomes the answer. When everything is nonsense, then the absence of the rolling hills will not resemble anything smooth. The brown ice cream is hard to attain, and today, tomorrow, and yesterday all cause the dry air to rise as the warmth bounces off the clouds. When despair brings insight, then the prayers are for knowledge, and they are kind of safe to say, as the knowledge is a knowledge of an all too secure faith. When there is wakefulness, the carpet is lowered, and yet I still cannot picture you as an ant. And, when you transport yourself back to me, then the normally large objects seem small. Millions of macro worlds are closer. When the sandpaper is not affecting my throat, then my saliva does not burn. And, when I do not expect anything steady, then the wind will awaken and take me out of sight. And, when everything is destroyed again, human energy will weaken, and electricity will be the same as it always is. When the wide tunnels are shortened, then we'll smooth out the controlled waters. And when what was an engraved perfection is casually rubbed away, then the walls will lose their planks, and the upper roof of the home, and the bricks supporting it will shatter. The frozen filler cannot hold the wall in place, and disagreements are if the yellow was the best color there. And nobody has goofed up. When the slanted boards rise perpendicular to the square shelter, then there will be a calm which is the origin of all peace. These are the same situations, and they can be judged differently. When the faith becomes knowledge, and when reality is still not completely true, then the past will become the present, and the meanings will die away. When all of the lives are judged by nobody, then the judgment will happen after death. And, when most of the time the future is worth more than the present, then the payment will be delayed again, and many questions will be answered. And, when time becomes eternal, then everybody will still not know everything, even though the world will remain lively. And, when a double-sided truth is still not believed, then I will decide then to be either for it or against it. 12. When science takes away one's freedom as its laws give to all no freedom, then the outcast loses the freedom which is meant to decide the beginning. When there is someone you love, and when loss is wholly spoiling all of the parts, then you can travel time back, but you will not be able to change anything that you have written down. When I am lazy and things pile up, then I will be satisfied with the answers, and the solutions will be one. When I allow for no music to enter my ears, then the drums will go on without me, and my body will disintegrate. When I care for the tribal drums again, they will be welcome to summon me in my waking state as real as the desert upon which they sound. The bricks brighten farther outwards, and the blackness of the city has yet to be found. The noise is of a rising of the drops which have left the volumes of the bodies of water. The blips sound away into the noise, and there is another similarity between same things, which is that I know always when I am in the light and its colors that keep. The rings cannot be seen from here, the rings are red on the clouds appearing. And, when the stories temporarily shine, then the points often cannot happen, and we will exit the plains. They go slower than any human, and they travel quickly into sleep rising with the comfort of a victory and breeze. When the yellow dots are spread out, then the eyes will use much motion to comprehend what they are. And when everything is resolved and clear, then the objects will steady the calm head. 13. When I left the blue-tinted room, there were computers all around me, the people were doing no work, and I knew that I too would not be working. There was a silent man in front of me, and I rose up, and Steve rose before me. The man did not wish for us to go, but he did not talk to us about that. After sitting idle by the computers, I had to go to the restroom, and I went out into a pavilion. In a small room was a bar, but there were no doors, and yet it was a respectable place. Some people told me that there were doors for the restroom, so I found them, and I did not return to my work. I had an idea of what I was doing there, and the computer did not turn into itself, but the computer became just a picture. I did not tell my boss about it, but he was mean and he bossed me, and I found myself in another room where I picked up some colorless everyday objects from off of the floor. The objects broke, and the boss was mad, and some lady and I had some skateboards, and we were standing on them at the top of a hill while the moon was out. The road had whipped cream or toothpaste snakes drawn on the curb, and we had pushed our way up the hill. I have forgot that I was happy, and I was not so serious. The hill was shorter than usual, and our trip did not take long. As I was not serious, the clouds slowly left, and took with them the storm. It was not as if I myself changed the weather, and I still had fun starting to play in the dryness, but when I got home, I heard my sister telling my dad that I was in trouble for skating in the dark. When coming back crunches a few leaves, then destiny afterwards lets things loose, and in the stones is embedded a wisdom which, always on the move, will ever so try for a few more follies. When education is wasted, then the wind will slow down to a halt as if to lift away the light outside. And as I am so very far away from something, I do not scribble-scrabble anything down. 14. When the bibble-babble is not called for, and when the blueness of the sky is close to you, then the limits are less real, and the secrets will be known. When those secrets are seen, then the resources will not be there, and you will wonder why. There is no vocabulary in the architecture, and my own way through the paths and structures is forgotten. I give myself over to the wastefulness which is whatever is not poetry. Whatever it is not experimental, and the forms are not seen in the structure, and there is no composition nor arrangement, nor is there any planning, language nor sound. Where there is no vocabulary, there will not be any echoes. Least of all, my ability to smooth things out is without form. And when I stay the same in my room, then it will take some sleep to curve me out, and then my vocabulary will have a form. And, when I am in the field with the nature around me, I will explore that field, and the nature around me which is blurry. And as it is not like any architecture, I will be able to connect as many blurs as I can where there are no corners, windows, roofs, sizes nor modes, and by doing this, I will have a future for my life here. Where there is poetry, there is a past. And, I will experiment with these harmonies that I assume are forms but not criterion. And, when I have another's love, then I can get my peace, and lose the etymologies which were impossible to understand. Then the way will be misunderstood of those writings I gained. I am certain that I have left them on top of the car. And, when I begin, things will have already passed. And it is my old journal which I feel has some definition to its wonders. 15. The opportunity drills just for a short time, and my belief is to make a perception of what I cannot see. When the only order is an order under which I am obligated to disbelieve, then I believe in nourishing the senses with some help as I lie down on the open field in the pointy soft grass. And, as I get away from future barriers, I have a good interview, but my name, age and birthplace are not known. And, when the grass is covered up, whatever is beyond it is as local as my time. When it is stolen from the rocks, the covering darkens and freezes into a shell which protects the solidity of the rocks. And, when I am asked to leave with the sunshine, then I am not prepared since I have been led to create for my use a dominant plenitude of time. And, when I procrastinate when I am older, then I will bring forth a gift in the ooze, which is for the preparation of the dawn. And, then I will know that I am not being used. And, my mind will not differentiate between the ancient fossils and new berries, both of which are driven into the leaves and the stone of my mind. If I am saddened by staying very still, then that night I will take off my boots and fall asleep in the quietness of freedom. And when the air begins to thump, and my body is pushed over to the live trees, then I will rattle their thick boughs and remember my trance. My eyes will open and I will stop dreaming. That night, I will take myself away and sleep and I will be lost in it. The question makes for another question which is different than defining a definendum. For example, you cannot make up these rules of inaccuracy and of obscurity. In addition, by not explaining nor describing nor predicting, you may be subject to space and its containment. My own calm state of mind is possible to come with poetry, so that I do trust in allowing it to set me free with further explorations. And, when the writing means to get out of me, then no experiment can fix the words, and there will not be another binary opposition in the room. And what I cannot do, and what I can, will be creative. And the science will not oppose itself to my story which comes out from stories. 16. When fictions and vocabularies become unmixed with words and their sentence structures, then the paragraphs too will be incorrigible with a newness. In and out, I am not between fantasies, and being unmixed with the levels of thought, a division of nonchalant themes operate upon me just like my awareness of blinking. And you and your own eyes are no mystery, and every day I avoid looking back so that the people sitting by and around me can emerge out from their shadows into society. And when they do not listen to my valentines, they will not meet with each other on the land, and nobody will own anything, nor sponsor me, and I will not speak of history anymore nor about the artists who have avoided looking at the map. And then I will pick some places, but not the Miller Outdoor Theater, and I will drop out of architecture, and the unifying will not be the only way to bring together the rooms, but by trust even more than faith will I do so. And, it is not that important to assume that I will be the sculptor of the architecture, and what I build will not be any music nor any writings, but I will teach still others to further a didactic art which is not of these houses nor sculptures, but of their models which shine by a light which I cannot hold any more in myself. And, the actual and exact ways of their fictional construction will not be a music which I let out of me, as I do the light from them, but a light will shine and the curves will spread out diagonally like a picture where the image happens simultaneously with the picture that happens at every moment of every scene. And, I will give this as my example, and my thoughts will move onward, and when they snicker at my calling, I will snicker back in the hallway where I am, and I will focus on their happy and clear eyes, and I will not look out the window. And, if they wish to steal my car, or fly past the hills, and do it in a normal way, then the world will be able to assume with me that our feelings have been according to that thinking which moves outward, which has always been a strong possibility, and there will still be those who keep back the echoes, and we still will not know what to do with them. 17. I do not apprehend how to apply the knowledge which makes poetry into my freedom. And, the treats are the cause and the effect is therapy, but it is a real imagination that questions. And when all of these are all reformed, then the experiences of a few will be nonsense if they are nothing. And, The first most knowledgeable thing in the world is to see openly that 1 added to 1 makes 2. And the second is not of the denial of it. A rest then is taken forward when I leave to find my life, and I recycle in an unlucky time my music though it is not heard, but still I begin to live again for today. And, the paper, the canvas and the photograph of how similar shapes can create a difference have given to me an idea about the garage, and I will take down the cube-like modules to create depth so that the unity will be of each shape that is outside of me. The colors will be still and steady, and the organization to come later will not be driven by any powerful force, but will create, by its own given inaction, a few models of me. And, after that I will deepen, and the school of that will motivate me to hold back what is concrete again from the bricks always, and I will not want to mix those materials which are not concrete, though the wood may modulate independently. And when bataille is ignored, the cooperation will not be traced in our history, and we will use no metaphors to create life or death or heaven or excrement or mouth or body or mind or human or inhuman or change or permanence or material or ideal or discontinuity or continuity or genealogy or history or appropriation or heterogeneity or homogeneity or art or thinking or science or philosophy until we choose to see what is entirely clear. And, that will not be difficult to grasp because the structuralists will say nothing about the post-structuralists' followers. 18. This optimist television is ontological. It constructs a capitalist entertainment without respect to simulacrum or hyperreality. And when grammar is not of the king's English, the tennis balls are gripped as you would a head, and someone sitting down has a brown dog beside him. And that one-legged man sings a song. The pantyhose is wrapped around his head when the bank robber will have his memento, and he will come forward with his country song and dance. The water faucet is not by the window where I am standing watching a soap opera or a talk show. Now they are jumping because the animal there is a mouse which of all animals is a rock mouse. The wind is for Andy, but not for me. This flashlight has no flash anymore, and my face is still funny. The background music still does not prepare any way for me, but the sky is the answer, and out of it comes a stick for the grass. The bull circles me, and it has a goal but it does not have a direction, and I have still not changed my mind which is for the diamond. And my interest is for the music, but not for the hot dogs, and life like this winter has its pale sky which lengthens out under the trees by a home. And the mouse is lengthened too. It goes up wisely to take what it can from me. And I smile. 19. Gadamer's was a phase. And, Illing was a fable. Of art, I too am fooled, and I become noisy and I talk in dead ends. Whatever causes from the silence even more silence, that cause of the silence itself is its hush. But I have never got used to the whispering, and it does not prick me onwards to come nearer to some other. Ours is of a motion on a trampoline. I have been thinking of the process in terms of the space because the structure we had once had a plan. And, as I cannot do without music, I just make up some abstract goals, and my motion becomes as commonplace as my talk, and when I jump around it gives to me significance that there is simplicity in this beauty, and if it is a trick, then I will take it up with difficulty with the black octopus. 20. I know it will take me another 2 years. I am with my group, and we are shaping up the thoughts and moving ahead. But these tools are not efficient ones, no, it is the schemata which I do not need. Nor does its structure become experience. Only when things are finalized will the movement I have become singular. And then, finally, the seconds will slow down, and the movement will be as romantic as my other relationships I have. Then the irony will have been learned, and the concepts of Foucault, Nietzsche, Derrida, Lyotard, Rorty, Marx, Baudrillard and others will make impossible the opinion that I have of me here sitting down in the flow of time. My audience too is in the flow of time, but who can be in these sentences that have had neither dialogue nor discourse? There is no building up of a story, and neither is there a text within me. 21. When all is nothing but the rising up of many water drops, then the danger is of what happens above the surface. The heights of a page are excited, and there is a storm within its clarity of a clearing that allows for no currents of theory to hang together. When this is always apparent, and when other times are clear as well, then they will not be read as the products of any synthesis of. There will be no tempo that parallels others who, upon some blurry boundary, have no position which might have been. And it is midnight, and the themes of inclusion and exclusion are dawning. 22. A science of hyperbole could be called hyperbology, and the study would have no discipline like photography does. The bigger picture comes afterwards, and when one applies it to another structure, then the construction cannot change. And, where many things might have changed, the psychology behind it still cannot expose those higher needs to have a poem be highest. These higher needs ride within in the right way, and they limit our behavior to a small part of that harmony in a society which must be. When we do not strive for the superb, then our intellectual needs have no chance of being thought of as bettered. If my rights are given free rein, these higher needs are satisfied and are actualized. But things are infinite, and our discussions make us feel so about an unconditional change. If there is too little pressure, or too much, we cannot escape. The effect is to stay put and discover what the imagination must alleviate even by the lowest form of pressure. For starters, the beginning will not be of a higher pressure until it begins to change, because without change, there is no pressure. 23. So time has ceased to move. The pressure is increasing the more you invent the images. Yes, maybe an imbalance is occurring because enough communication has been and so the images are presented just by you, and the pressure has ceased to exist to others. And, to begin, the solutions cannot be solved with the absence of the images, and probably without the aid of a logical space will the earth settle. This is not an increasing pressure process, and the atoms do not understand the whole, and if the atoms would have increased, then the pressure might have been avoided, and all could have continued. So the avoidance of the order changes the order again, and it is all done by design, and all of it has started to end some pressure which is just for me. The collapse happened to create the pressure, and when things continued without changing, the beginning began, and this is parallel to the imbalance of the pressure which has begun, and with pressure comes change.